The sun hit hard across the sand pit. Week 1. Pre-selection. 80 recruits. Too much sweat, too little water, and nobody wanted to look tired first. She was near the back. Didn't talk much. Small frame, taped knuckles, boots double-knotted. She kept her head down, moved with the group, didn't try to lead. That morning, they ran the first rope climb. Standard challenge. Up and over. One shot. She was 10th in line. The guy before her flew through it. Ex-wrestler, loud confidence, hands like bricks. Then she stepped forward. Didn't hesitate. But halfway up, her foot slipped on the dry line. Not far. Just enough to throw her balance. She caught it, palms burning, elbows locked, but didn't recover fast. Laughter cracked from the sideline. Nice try, recruit! Somebody tell her this isn't high school PE. She didn't look down. Finished the climb slower. Controlled. Touched the beam. Dropped without sound. But the air had shifted. They called her slip by lunch. Morales heard it first. He was 2 rotations ahead in the prep cycle. Quiet observer. Watched more than he talked. She caught his attention, not for the fall, but for what came after. When the next drill began, she lined up dead center. Not left, not right. Like someone had taught her to always have exits both ways. He noticed something else, too. Her hands. Blistered, yes, but no hesitation. She wrapped the rope the second time exactly right. No delay. No fear. Like muscle memory from another life. That night, while the others collapsed into bunks or cracked jokes outside the tents, she sat on the gravel alone. Boots off. Socks rolled tight. Not crying. Just stretching her fingers like they were trying to remember something. She didn't look injured. She looked patient. By the 3rd day, they had names for everyone. Brick Hands, Rabbit, Atlas, Slip. That last one stuck harder than most. She didn't argue it. Didn't respond when they used it. Just nodded when called, stepped into place when needed. No complaints. But Morales kept watching. She wasn't fast, but she never missed formation. She didn't talk, but she never looked confused. One morning, during gear drill, the instructors dumped every rucksack onto the ground. Standard stress test. Recruits scrambled to rebuild packs under pressure. She didn't panic. She didn't even blink. Just started reassembling. Exact order. Cinching straps tight. Faster than half the guys around her. One of them muttered. Guess she read the manual. But Morales saw something else. The way she rolled the straps. Not standard issue style. But the old seal loop. Quick cinch, zero swing. Not something you'd pick up from a book. He made a mental note. Later that afternoon, during the NAV run, she tripped again, this time over a buried root near checkpoint 2. The others laughed, louder now. She falls more than she walks. Slip's living up to it. Still, she never defended herself. She just stood up, brushed her knee, kept moving. No limp, no reaction. That night, Morales passed her on the way to the mess. She was sitting outside the tent again, cross-legged, unwrapping white cloth from around her right hand. He slowed, pretending to check his boot. That's when he saw it. On her wrist. Not a tattoo. Not quite. More like a burned scar, healed over and faint, but still shaped into something precise. An anchor. Coiled with rope. His throat tightened. He'd seen that once before. Years ago. On the wrist of Chief Whitaker, the man who trained instructors before most of these recruits had ever put on boots. The man whose name was never said lightly. The man who taught SEALs how to read terrain by sound and move without being seen. Morales looked up at her face. She was just staring at the trees, listening. Not waiting. Listening. They were halfway through week 2 when the rain came in. Not heavy, just enough to turn the ropes slick and the gravel soft. Perfect conditions for friction. The instructors ran them through log carries, buddy drags, low crawls. The kind of grind meant to squeeze the loud out of you. She kept pace. Didn't lead. Didn't fall behind. Morales noticed something different this time. The louder it got, the yelling, the chaos, the calmer she moved. She anticipated the shifts. Adjusted before the orders came. At one point, she reached for a teammate's elbow mid-crawl, pulled him an inch left, just in time to avoid sinking into a pocket of deep mud. She didn't explain it, didn't say a word, but someone else saw it too. Price, a broad-shouldered recruit who thought volume meant dominance. He'd been watching her more and more, not out of curiosity, but challenge. After chow that evening, the rain let up. They gathered under the canvas shelter. Wet boots, steamed breath, tired nerves. Price leaned against the post and looked straight at her. You ever think about quitting, Slip? She didn't respond. He smiled like he'd already won. 'Cause you're slow, you fall a lot, and you look like you're scared of your own boots. A few chuckles. Nervous. Testing the edge. She just kept unwrapping the cloth from her wrist. He stepped closer. You don't belong here, he said. Then louder, so everyone could hear. Whatever you think you came from, this isn't your daddy's backyard obstacle course. That's when she looked up. Not angry. Just still. And something in the way her eyes fixed on him, flat, unmoved, shut the space down. Even the instructors turned. Price opened his mouth again, but the SEAL staff sergeant stepped forward. Enough. No yell. No bark. Just one word. But it landed heavy. Price froze. The sergeant's eyes narrowed. He glanced down at her wrist, still half-wrapped. Then looked back at Price. You know who her father was? Price blinked. No. The sergeant stepped closer. Then sit down and be glad she's not talking. No one laughed this time. Not even Price. After that night, everything changed. Not because she spoke, but because she didn't. The camp went quiet around her. The joke stopped. Even Price, usually first to throw out some jab, kept his distance. Not out of fear, something else. Something harder to name. Maybe recognition. Maybe shame. Morales kept watching. He wasn't just curious anymore. He was certain. She wasn't here by accident. He started asking quiet questions around the edges. Instructors, supply techs, old staff. Not many knew her name. Just a first initial on the roster. No listed parent. No referral source. She hadn't come from ROTC, or a base rec. She wasn't recruited. She had just appeared. But something in her bearing, how she laced her boots, how she packed her gear without a checklist, told a different story. One night, Morales stayed late near the comms cabin, found a forgotten personnel ledger from over a decade ago, water-damaged and half-scanned. He flipped until the corner of a page caught his eye. Whitaker, J. Instructor record. Cross-trained sniper, SQT cadre, later retired under classified citation. He flipped again, then saw it. One photo, tucked behind a commendation scan. A younger man, square build, storm gray eyes. Beside him, a girl. 9, maybe 10. Standing straight. Mimicking his stance. Both hands behind her back. Boots too big for her feet. But her eyes were the same. Exactly the same. He exhaled. It was her. Whitaker's daughter. No announcement. No favor. No legacy badge on her shoulder. Just here. Training under the same system her father once helped write. And saying nothing about it. That night at lights out, Morales passed her tent. She sat outside, cleaning her boots by feel. Same rhythm, same attention to detail. He stopped. You could have told them. She didn't look up. They would have treated you differently, he added. She nodded once. That's why I didn't. Her voice was quiet. Level. Then she looked up, just for a second. They'll know when it matters. He didn't ask what she meant. He didn't have to. It started as a night NAV drill. Standard land navigation across ridge terrain. No GPS. No lights. Just compass, pace count, and instinct. The fog rolled in harder than forecast. Visibility dropped to 10 feet. By midnight, one of the recruits didn't report in at checkpoint 4. They waited. Checked the lines. Nothing. 10 more minutes passed. Then 20. No comms. Radio blackout zone. The instructors regrouped by the perimeter, voices clipped but low. Could be a sprain. Could be a panic freeze. Should we pull the team? Wait 5 more. Morales was already walking toward the staging tent when he saw her. She was standing at the edge of the tree line, boots laced tight, compass in hand. Her posture was different now. Still quiet, but purposeful, focused. She turned slowly, nodded once to Morales. I know where he went. He blinked. You don't have his track. I have his rhythm. Morales hesitated, then followed. They didn't announce it. Didn't ask for permission. Just stepped into the mist. She moved low, reading the terrain without stopping. Turned once, adjusted her bearing. Like she wasn't guessing, but remembering. 15 minutes in, she paused, then pointed. There. At the base of a tree, barely visible through the fog, a shape huddled in the dirt. It was the missing recruit, Price's tent mate. Shaking. Eyes wide. Breathing fast. She knelt, checked his arm for injury. None. He'd just gotten turned around, panicked, tried to loop back, and gone the wrong way. She didn't scold. Didn't speak. Just helped him up, steadying his stance with 2 fingers against his ribs. "Breathe here," she said quietly. "Not here." She tapped just under his chest, then his shoulder. "Anchor yourself?" They returned slow. Fog still thick, but she moved through it like it wasn't even there. When they emerged from the trees, carrying him steady between them, the instructors turned. The senior SEAL instructor, Commander Hayes, took one look, then froze. His eyes locked on her wrist as she handed off the recruit. She hadn't worn the wrap tonight. The skin was bare. And the old mark, the rope and anchor, was plain. His face changed. His voice quiet. "That tattoo? That's not for decoration." She nodded once. Hayes stepped forward, slowly. "You trained under him?" She paused, then said calm. "I learned from him. But I came to finish on my own." Hayes didn't speak again, just straightened his stance, and gave a slow, quiet nod of respect. By dawn, the entire camp knew. There was no official memo, no roll call correction. But the word moved fast, not in volume, but weight. She was Whitaker's daughter. Not Slip, not the quiet one, not the recruit who fell. Just a name they didn't dare speak without intention now. Recruits who once joked started nodding when she passed, not in fear, in recognition. They noticed the little things now. The way she checked her boot tread every third morning without fail. How she stretched her fingers before every rope climb, not dramatically, just the same motion each time, as if measuring old memory against fresh effort. And how she never tried to outpace anyone, only herself. Even Price had changed. He didn't try to win anymore when she was near. He started watching her form during drills, quietly mirroring her foot placement in gravel, her breathing cadence in long runs. One morning, Morales saw him waiting near the trailhead, holding a water canteen. When she passed, he offered it without a word. She took it, drank once, handed it back. No thanks. No grin. Just mutual understanding. Commander Hayes didn't treat her differently in public. He didn't need to. But once, during a map briefing, he pointed to a shaded valley on the terrain model and said, "Most people get lost here." Then, with the faintest glance toward her, "Some people don't." She didn't look up, but she knew. Morales did too. That afternoon, she was first to scale the rope tower. Same structure where she'd slipped the first time. This time, she moved steady. Not fast. Just clean. At the top, she paused, not for the view. Just to place one hand flat on the beam, almost like memory. And then she came down, smooth as breath. No applause followed. Just quiet. And in that silence, something in the group shifted. They weren't trying to beat her anymore. They were trying to learn. No title had changed beside her name. No stripes, no patch, no privileges. But something else had. By the final week of pre-selection, a subtle current ran through the camp, and she was at the center of it. They watched how she moved. Not just during drills, during the spaces between drills. When most dropped their posture, she stayed upright. When others leaned on gear, she rested on her own knees, spine tall. Morales noticed how recruits started adjusting their gear the way she did, straps tighter, looser at the shoulder, one quick twist at the base to reduce sway. Even instructors noticed. Not a word was said. But during fire team coordination, the sergeant placed her in center slot. Not because she asked, because she didn't. One afternoon, Morales caught her mid-run, guiding 2 newer recruits through a terrain crawl. They were falling behind, hesitating on the incline. She didn't lecture, didn't shout. She simply reached back, palm open, steady, and showed the exact foothold they missed. One of them asked quietly, "How'd you see that?" She didn't answer, just nodded toward the line ahead. At lights out, the laughter around the tents had changed too. Still loud, still young, but less sharp-edged, less mocking. Price sat closer now. Not in submission, in shared pace. And when one of the younger guys asked why the instructors kept looking at her, he didn't answer with a joke. He just said, "Because she's not learning this for the first time. She's remembering it." Morales spent more time near her during those final days. Never asked for advice. Just listened. Once, during a short break, he found her staring out across the tree line, her face unreadable. "What do you see out there?" he asked. She waited a second, then said softly, "The trail my father took, and the part one have to walk alone." He didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because now he understood. She wasn't here to prove she belonged. She was here to honor how he walked it. They finished the course at sunrise. No speeches. Just a long, Cold morning at the far end of the ridge, boots soaked, shoulders burning, lungs raw from the final haul. Recruits stood in loose formation, eyes forward, waiting for the last count. She stood near the end of the line, not hidden, not highlighted. Same place she always chose. Neutral. Steady. When the staff sergeant called final names, her voice was quiet but solid. She answered, "Here." No pause, no hesitation. Just the word. Morales was 2 rows ahead. He didn't turn, but he smiled to himself. She had made it. All the way. No shortcuts, no special treatment. Just silent grit. As they packed up gear to return to base, Commander Hayes walked the line, checking shoulders, nods, one-sentence corrections. When he reached her, he stopped, looked down at her boots, then her wrists. The tattoo was still visible, though faded by time and weather. He didn't say her name. He didn't need to. He simply extended a small, cloth-wrapped item. She accepted it without a word. Later, in the barracks, Morales saw what it was, a challenge coin. Not one of the standard issue. This one was darker, older, worn around the edge, like it had been pocketed through more than just parades. Stamped on one side, Navspecor Instructor Group 3, and on the edge barely legible, Whitaker. It had been her father's. No one asked how Hayes got it, or why he gave it to her now. Because they understood. Legacy wasn't passed through medals. It was passed through silence, through moments, through motion. Weeks later, when Morales stood in front of a new intake of pre-selection hopefuls, he caught himself tying his boots the way she did. And when one recruit stumbled on the rope course and someone laughed, he turned sharply and said, "We don't do that here." The recruit blinked. Morales just pointed to the rope. "Try again. Slower this time. Breathe first." In the mess tent, there was a small item pinned near the coffee station. No frame. No label. Just a folded piece of tape. With a single word, written in faded ink. Anchor. She was gone by then. Moved on to the next phase. But the way she carried herself? That stayed. In the way they walked now. And the way they listened.